Investigators at the Camden County Sheriff's Office say that there is only one cold case homicide in their files, but it's a challenging one.
Now, more than a decade later, they're hoping someone can provide new information on the murder of a 27-year-old woman. Here's Katie Jeffries with tonight's Unsolved.
There are more questions than answers when it comes to the death of Melissa McCarthy, which is why investigators will tell you it remains unsolved. But what is certain is that her life was ended by a gunshot and her body callously dumped along the side of I-95. It was the afternoon of November 30th, 2011. A truck driver stopped on the side of the I-95 ramp at exit 14 to use the bathroom. Walking into the woodline, he made a terrible discovery. A woman's body up against a fence, dead from a single gunshot to the head. Investigators say her fingerprints and a tattoo would identify her as 27-year-old Melissa McCarthy, who would also go by the name Melissa McCarthy Comiskey, but she was not from the area. Investigator Daniel with the Camden County Sheriff's Office says she had been working as a prostitute in Pompano Beach.
People interviewed out there stated that they saw her getting into a red and white semi-truck on the night that she disappeared.
Though investigators in 2011 leaned toward this theory that she was killed by a truck driver, Investigator Daniel has doubts about that story, especially since the information came from a man who was her pimp at the time. And the tire tracks at the scene off I-95 are not from a semi.
In the report, it states that it looked like somebody sped off real quick.
He believes one of the biggest clues in the case comes from Melissa's phone records. A 904 number connected to a St. Mary's resident had been calling Melissa's phone before her death.
When they did a satellite tracking on the towers, they did find out that that individual that lives in St. Mary's was in the Pompano area, 6.7 miles away from where Melissa McCarthy was working.
He says deputies in 2011 spoke to that person, a woman who said she and Melissa were dating the same man, and that man was the one making calls from her phone to Melissa. Investigator Daniel says he's not sure why there wasn't more investigation of this lead in 2011. But after the couple was interviewed, they moved from the Georgia area, something he finds suspicious. And he does say as he re-examines this case, that couple are persons of interest. But he could use the public's help, especially if they know anything about Melissa's death that wasn't reported to investigators a decade ago.
There's so many missing details in this case. What I'm like to do is re-interview everybody that was interviewed.
And finally, put the pieces together to close this cold case. Filling in the missing details is so important in this case, which is why we do these stories. If you know anything, please call the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Katie Jeffries, First Coast News, on your side.
And we did try to reach out to Melissa's family to be a part of this story, but we were unsuccessful. You can see this story and other unsolved cold case stories on our website, firstcoastnews.com.